I'm Dr. Rob Fox. I'm an orthopedic foot and ankle surgeon, and I'd like to talk today a little bit about one of the early treatments for stroke, and particularly for foot drop in patients that have stroke and its associated complications and problems. One of the most significant complaints that patients have after they've had a stroke, and if you've had one you'll know this, is they have a hard time getting around because the side of the body that's affected by their stroke typically doesn't clear the ground because they have something called a foot drop or a toe drop, or their foot is so spastic that they're not able to lift it up off the ground and it'll catch the ground. And so one of the basic treatments for stroke patients that have had stroke in the past has been to provide them with some type of brace initially to hold the foot up so that it doesn't catch the ground and cause people to fall, to trip, to have other potential complications after a stroke like hip fractures and other things that can happen with a fall. So as an orthopedic surgeon, one of the ways that we'll treat patients with foot drop initially is with some type of brace. And as I mentioned, traditionally the brace that people have used has been something called an AFO, which stands for ankle foot orthosis. And those have typically been made out of a plastizote plastizote is kind of a soft material, lined polypropylene or polyurethane, which is a plastic material brace that's custom molded around their leg, and usually it goes from almost from the knee all the way down and inside the shoe and holds the foot up by being a very rigid brace. A majority of patients, in my experience, will complain about it because it causes them to sweat inside because it doesn't have very good breathability. It also tends to be too rigid so that they tend to get pressure areas, and often they have to have it modified and heated, molded so that it fits their foot better. And in general, they don't like the way it looks. And so there are a lot of reasons why the traditional AFO can be a problem. In some patients, it's the only option for bracing because they'll need a much more rigid brace. In addition to those rigid braces, there's also a softer brace that's an out-of-shoe brace. So we kind of would call the AFO an in-shoe brace, meaning that your shoe fits over the top of it, and usually you have to find a larger shoe to fit that because it's a pretty large device. And then the other type of brace is a soft brace that is usually around the ankle and then has some type of an attachment to the shoe or the outside of the shoe to try to hold the foot up. There's a brace now that's sold by SaeboStep, spelled S-A-E-B-O. It's a wonderful company that designs braces that are very unique and have great applications for patients that have orthopedic problems. And stroke is one of the areas of great interest for SaeboStep. And that brace that they sell is that specific brace. And how the brace looks and designs, I've got an example of it here, is it has a BOA, which is known by many people who snowboard and have used this with other devices. It's a wonderful device that allows it to be controlled and has great strength to coil a wire. So what will happen is this brace is placed around the ankle, and it's a comfortable brace that is designed with a Velcro system, and then also, so it has a Velcro system like this, and it also has a little extra strap that holds it in place with a buckle in the back. And so that's put on, and then as that happens, then what we'll do is, after attaching it to the ankle, it has two edges of two wire system that will drop down and that are attached to hooks on the shoe, and they can be more on one side or more on the other side. Once it's attached to the shoe, then that BOA device is popped in, and then it's wound to the tension that's needed for that to be able to hold the foot in the position that you want. One of the things that I think we really feel is unique about this brace, and that I've found from patients, is that it's first of all comfortable. So when we have a patient start using this brace, they come back with the brace on. In fact, every time I see them, the brace is there. And that's something, because I would say probably at least half the time that I prescribe an AFO or a more rigid brace for somebody, even if they have a severe foot drop, the next time they come in the office and future times, they don't bring the brace. And that tells me that they're not wearing it or they're not using it frequently, largely because it's uncomfortable. But in addition to that, the more rigid braces that are in the shoe, they fit only usually in one or two shoes, and so they don't have a lot of options because it stretches the shoe out. There's only one or two styles of shoe that they can even use with that brace. The beauty of the SaeboStep brace is that it actually allows you to be able to use almost virtually any shoe that you can imagine can be adapted to be able to be used with this brace. You can place eyelets in the shoe in different locations as needed, as we've mentioned before, but then those eyelets can be placed in any material and allow you to be able to put the hooks on that shoe so that really any shoe that you wear, a huge variety of shoe wear can be used. Particularly, I think, well appreciated in our patients that are in offices, Our female patients love the options that they have with even in some cases wearing heels or more fashionable shoes, because they're able to hook that brace into those shoes, and it allows them to be able to utilize shoes that they would otherwise never have been able to use with a foot drop and also with their more rigid braces.